Hutcheson, Product Manager with Seed Consultants. This is our first video of the year. We're going to spend the next several months during the growing season traveling around the state of Indiana looking at various agronomic issues and crop management and development. Today we're going to start in Wells County just south of Bluffton, Indiana. We have had some cooler wet weather this spring, but over the last week there's been a window of opportunity to do field work. There's been a lot of tillage, herbicide applications, and planting started. Some growers are pretty far along in terms of planting, close to being done. Some have just started here this last week, last couple of days. So we're looking at about 20% overall of the planting of corn and soybeans combined is finished in this area. And today we'll look at some of the early considerations of planting and field work and crop development. As we look at planting this spring, one thing you always want to keep in mind is soil temperature. Corn requires at least 55 degrees for germination, and soybeans require at least 50 degrees for germination. The soil temperatures in this area prior to this rain that we're getting today would have been warm enough to promote that germination and start early growth, and we would assume that this rain, it's a warmer weather system that's coming through, has not dropped that temperature too much. But we did bring a soil thermometer with us today, and we'll check that at the 2-inch depth. When we take a look at the soil temperature here today, after this rain, we haven't had a lot, but there's been some light showers moving through and some cooler weather. The soil temperature is still 65 degrees, which is warm enough to start germination and promote early growth. There's a lot of concern when we look back at last year. We had a similar circumstance where we had a week of warm weather and then a really cold snap with a lot of rain, where our soil temperatures dropped as much as 20 or 25 degrees in some areas. That doesn't appear to be the case yet here, so anyone who's planted in the last day or so should be fine. If we would get a cold snap with a lot of rain, the concern would be some cold shock to the seedlings, death of seedlings, and potential need to replant. As we get into early May, one common concern is planting in the optimal corn planting window. It's widely known that from about the 20th of April to mid-May is the optimum time to plant corn, and once you get past that time in mid-May, you start to lose yield potential each day that planting is delayed. We do still have a couple weeks left in the optimal planting window. The thing to keep in mind is that with this rain moving through, we want to make sure that the ground dries out and field conditions are right before we go back into the field. If we try to rush planting or field work, create compaction, we'll end up causing more damage to our yields than we will by getting our corn in the ground by a certain date. Let's talk a little bit about weed control. One thing you want to keep in mind this time of year is that it's important to control weeds when they're in that 4 to 6 inch height, about the height of a pop can. There are some fields out there that still need to have a burn down applied or tillage done. There are some weeds developing, and there's mare's tail out there that would have been about the size of a quarter last fall when it germinated and emerged, and now starting to bolt. So those tougher to control weeds we want to get control of as soon as possible. Another concern with fields that still have weeds in them is the weather this year has been conducive to pests such as black cutworm moths moving into the area, and this is the time of the year when they move in and lay their eggs, and a weedy field is going to be an attractive place for those moths to lay eggs. So going forward, those areas where weeds were able to survive for a little while longer and didn't get killed early, we want to scout for black cutworm in the early stages of crop growth and determine if there are pests present and if we need to make a rescue option with an insecticide. Thanks for watching today. We'll catch up with you at the end of the month when we take a look at crop progress and early season growth.